Good evening and welcome to the Coach's Box. Ray Halbrook here from Livestream STL. Hope everybody's having a great evening, and we are calling like we see it tonight. We've got the boys in our group here. I say the boys is Mr. Miller, Coach Jarvis, Coach Blair, and hope you all are doing pretty well. How's it going, guys?
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, doing okay. I mean, just got to eat some lapas just a little bit ago, and now I'm kind of full.
Yeah.
Looking for a nap.
What'd we all have?
Well, that's a crazy question to ask me. The normal here, the Orals con Polo with no guacamole salad, the normal Blair special.
Yeah, I like to tell them just to give me the Blair. It works.
These two eat alike all the time. I don't get it, but I got the chicken quesadilla.
Hey, did that fill you up?
No, I got another one. I should have got the appetizer. It would have been good, but I just got the half, and I was like, no, not enough.
It's never enough.
I hadn't ate today.
It's good Mexican food.
Chris Miller, what we got on tap today, my friend?
Now we got a few things we want to talk about, especially with a lot of the sports in the county and the state are starting to open up in different levels and different things that we see kind of going on right now. And I know right now we have a different variation of what we're getting to experience here in Jefferson County.
Yes.
But other parts of the state and high school sports, they're starting to open up, and we see different areas doing different things. So, what do you guys see right now that either in our county or in other parts of the state? What do you guys see?
Well, I spent the weekend down in Piedmont, close to where you originate from, and
I've been down there a couple times.
I know the Clearwater, I believe, Tigers, aren't they? Right?
They are
orange and black Tigers.
That's right.
They've been in full swing for weeks, and I've seen them practicing a lot of basketball. I've been jealous. So I also have seen Macon, Missouri, where they're full-go football camps going on, and there's stuff going on all around the state. I think I'm hoping not too shortly we will be joining them.
I like I said, I've got a lot of coaching friends around the county and around the state and in general. I mean, you're just seeing a lot of different things at different places. I mean, Coach Risling from Licking out there, they're being able to do some workouts and skill workouts and stuff as well. And they're limiting it to a certain point, but at least they're being able to get their kids in the gym and getting able to be productive of some sort, and that goes for all their programs there. I think that their basketball, their football, their baseball, all the programs that they have there are all being able to participate and do different things, which I think is important. And the other side of that is, and there's different levels. There's different counties that are having different stipulations for those kids. I've seen there where, some parts of the state are on phase 3 of their plan, and Jefferson County is still under phase 1 or whatever. So I think it's just coming down to different parts of the state and how many cases they had and how that all plays out. But for the most part, I think that I hope that maybe the county comes together here in the next couple of weeks and was able to allow our student athletes to get some kind of participation going in the month of July, and to be able to try to just get kids available to do some things. I think you're seeing a lot of them. I mean, I'm going around, for my job around the county, and I'm seeing kids out in the streets with a ball in their hand, throwing baseballs. Were
they wearing a pie shirt?
Well, I don't know if I didn't see that.
I'm hoping they were on Herky shirt.
But I'm seeing a little bit more of that in the last 2 weeks, just driving around, for my job. And so I think that's important to see the kids are out actually doing some things now, and maybe not that they're doing it with their schools, but they're at least out together, out there dribbling basketballs, throwing baseballs, throwing a football around or something to be productive, which it gets them out of the house and is able to do that. So I think it's important.
Well, I mean, the biggest part that I see is at this point in time, we're really going to have a hard time limiting kids to not doing things together in groups.
Right.
Kids have been cooped up for so long. They want to get out. They want to do stuff. if their sport means anything to them, they're going to go play.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to go play with their friends, or their parents are pushing them out the door like, get the hell out of here and go play.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done with you. Go do something. And the parents want them out doing things too. And a lot of these kids are also, their futures might depend on this. A lot of kids missed out on baseball this year. Yeah. They want a chance to play and prove themselves at the next level. So them playing and doing those things, that's important. That's a big part of what they're missing out on.
Right.
So I know a lot of schools are not letting anybody in. We still don't know a lot about the county schools and what they're going to allow or when they're going to open back up and do things. But it's really hurting the kids from that standpoint because they need to be doing things together.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my son's getting sick of me saying, go outside. There's a hoop out there in the street. Get the ball in your hand, get some shots up. And he's actually been doing a pretty good job. And Coach Hunter, our football coach, has put out workouts for him. And it's been fun to watch my kid try to do tricep extensions with his gym bag and stuff. So the kids are trying. I don't have a weight room set, as you can tell, at my house. So kids.
With those guns? Good God. Are you serious? I thought you did.
No. But, kids are out there doing things. And hopefully our county is going to jump aboard here soon.
Well, and I want to be clear, too, because there's a lot of misconception about what's going on and why schools aren't allowed to do things. Any decisions that's made is based on the recommendations of the health department.
Right.
This isn't like the law. You're not breaking the law by letting kids do anything right now. These are recommendations from the health department, from Jefferson County, that public schools right now I know are abiding by.
Right.
Now, I know at St. Pius we're adhering to their regulations, but we've had our weight room open. We've been social distancing on things to allow the kids to get in. Now, it's not the same as I would love to be having practices and be doing summer activities to get my kids ready to play ball. But we're not doing that. But we are adhering to those guidelines given by the county. Other schools are saying you can't come in. I know you guys are dealing with that at Herky.
Yeah. And I think the big thing about it is, and when it comes down to it, the overall safety of the students, I think, is what their biggest concern is if it just takes one.
That's right.
And we talked about that earlier before the show. I think it takes just one opportunity for it, something to happen, and so I think that's the biggest fear. But at the end of the day, I think there's just so many kids out there that are struggling because they can't participate in anything that they do, and you're going to see a lot of kids start becoming a little less social, and I think that's going to be a big problem down the road too, because kids haven't been able to be social amongst other people, and I just think that's a struggle that kids have to deal with today, and we're kind of taking that away from them a little bit, and then we're putting them in front of a video game or a television now and saying that's okay, and so I think that's going to be the biggest struggle. My son plays some baseball for a little league team, and we went out this last weekend, Friday and Saturday, and played in a tournament up at Arnold. And, it like nothing changed. I mean, parents were sitting on top of each other. The only thing you couldn't do is you couldn't sit on the bleachers and you couldn't sit on the picnic tables. But you could bring your own chairs and sit wherever you wanted. And the kids were all in the dugout together. And so, I mean, there's rules and regulations like you talked about. These are regulations that they're asking you to abide by at some point. But these aren't the laws and these aren't the rules that they're mandating you to make up.
Well, with your son's baseball team, and I don't know how this is going, but I know a lot of teams, a lot of friends of mine have kids that are playing. Did they sign a waiver saying, or anything with that?
Nope.
Or
no?
Yeah, I know that. Like, I think Coach Bone had him. I know he's practicing right now with 253, and I believe they had some type of waiver saying, "Hey, parents, are you allowing your kid to do these things?" And I think parents are wanting their kids out there and wanting them to get involved.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's forcing it. Me as a coach, I'm not telling any of my kids that are showing up to any of these things, listen, you have to be here. I'm not playing you, or you're not on the team.
Right.
It is their choice. It's their parents' choice, and I think by not letting that happen, I think it's a big disservice to those kids and to those parents, those families that they want that for their children, or the kids want it for themselves. And again, like I just said before, about their future.
Right.
So, I mean, I would let them go. I mean, if it was my kid, I'm going to let them go. I want them to play. And if they want to do it, then I'm going to support it. If they didn't want to do it, I would support that too.
Well, we had Justin Ford on here the other day, and Dylan's playing on one of his teams in basketball, and they're practicing this Friday for a couple hours, and I'm going to send them to that practice, and that's my choice. Schools are a little different, especially public schools. They got to go by what the county's saying,
Right.
and I get that. So it's just interesting to see how this is all going to play out.
Well, I know in different parts of the state now, like I don't remember who we talked about, if I think it was Page is playing on an AAU team where they're going all the way out to
Columbia.
Columbia. I was going to say Jefferson City, still about
Columbia,
the same.
Illinois, right?
No, Missouri.
Missouri.
Missouri. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And practicing. I mean, kids are wanting to go and do things, but in other parts of the state, even down south in the rural areas, like you had said, like Clearwater, and my good friend Zach, I don't know if he's watching. If you are, Zach, keep watching, get some friends. Anyway,
Get some people on here.
Get some people on here and comment and tell us how Anyway, but they're getting to do those things already, and they're scrimmaging, they're participating, their kids are participating, and I think by not allowing our kids to do that, we are really handicapping our programs, not just basketball, but baseball, football, and every volleyball, every sports program, by not allowing that to happen at this point.
Right.
And I understand the safety issues, but at the end of the day, if this is what the parents want, then this is and the kids want, then this is what, in my opinion, go for it. And I wouldn't have a problem with it either way as the coach, because I feel like it's their choice.
And I think the big thing about it is that parent waiver that Coach was talking about. I think that's an important thing, because you just signed that saying that you're not going to allow the school to hold you liable if something happens, and that just goes even during the school year regularly. If something happens to your son or daughter while on the baseball field or a basketball field, you're not going to hold the school reliable for that activity or that issue. So I think the big thing about it is we're in uncharted waters here, where we never had to deal with this, and so I think a lot of people are just at this point, trying to do what they think is best for all. And it's a tough position to be in, and I don't want to be any of those superintendents in this county, because I think it's a very difficult situation, because you have to put yourself out of the picture and look at the whole picture, and sometimes that's really difficult to do.
As a coach, the big picture, which includes all other sports, is very hard for us. I mean,
absolutely.
You're thinking basketball. I'm thinking basketball. He's thinking basketball. I mean,
right.
And a lot of schools, I've been on meetings, a couple meetings here, and we're just going to have to figure it out. We're going to have to be sharing athletes a lot more than we have in the past. And, June used to be the heavy basketball. I mean, we were basketball heavy in June, and then I laid off in July, maybe had an open gym a week. And, that's all going to look different once we can go.
And then that's going to be the other thing is, so you've got all these sports vying for 35 days of activity that we're going to have in the month, of July, if that happens. So you've got, basketball, volleyball, football, baseball, softball, cross country, wrestling. I mean, all these sports that you put together.
Marching band.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about all of those things that you got to put together and say, okay, you got 35 days, you got an average of 12 hours during that day that you can do stuff legitimately, I'd say, and to vie for all that time. So, if they do that, how are they going to stimulate it? How are they going to say, okay, hey, basketball's got 4 hours on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Football's got 4 hours on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And here's the times you're going to be allotted. So, I mean, that goes into play a lot, too. I know we know Licking, he told me that, his is all lined out. Different programs have different time frames throughout the entire week to allow the student athletes to be able to do multiple things and to be productive in all aspects of the athletics. So I think if you come down to it, I think that's where we're going to have to really all have to get together and get on the same page and do what's best for the student athletes. And as a basketball coach, I'm selfish. I want as much time as I can because I lost that up on the last 4 months as well as everybody else does. So we all going to be at some point going to be a little bit selfish, but it's a struggle because all these kids are wanting to be able to do as much as they want. You ask a kid, I guarantee they're going to say, hey, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure I'm back out on the floor or back out on the field or whatever it is. So,
I've had several kids ask me, when do we get to play?
Yeah.
Or, hey, this is great. I'm glad we can come in here and shoot. It's one person per basket, but when can we play games? And I'm just telling them, no, you can't. And until we can move to the next phase, I don't want to even be, I want to make sure that they're safe. But at this point, I'm also like, all right, let's just play. That's what I really want to say. Let's just go. Let's just do it. I don't even care. Well, if you're ready to do it and nobody has a problem, let's just do it.
So a couple of my basketball players contacted me about they tried to go to the Y, and so they're at the Y, and they started to play a little pickup game, and someone came in there and said, hey, you guys can't do that. You got to social distance. You got to, we can't have you playing games. And so they spread them out, and they're like, and one of my players was like, Coach, I just left. He goes, man, I figured, well, I'm going to go to the park. Crystal Park's open, whatever other park they can go to. And they go, we're going to play some games, and we talked about that the other day with Justin here about skills versus games. But, kids always want to play games.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm going to give you a list of drills you guys can play. I don't think anybody here is going to ever argue about which the kids are going to pick. But at this point, it's almost like like running water. I mean, you might dam it up a little bit, but that water is going to find a way around. And that's exactly what we're dealing with now. The kids want to play. And that's the hardest thing I have and like you said, being selfish, I want them to play.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm fighting it, trust me, because I just would rather say, yeah, let's just do that. Let's go and maybe call up another school. You guys want to do something? Let's have a scrimmage and just let the kids do it.
Right.
But at the same time, you're fighting both sides of it, and I understand the county and the regulations. But I'm also looking at other parts of the state just being green with envy. As much as want to be safe, it's like, it's not really fair. South Iron's getting to go and play, and I have people that I'm talking to. Well, why don't you guys do that? It's all over. All right, whatever.
And that's the other thing that as a coach I have an issue with. We want to have a level playing field across the board, across the state. And the Mish is big on that. And at this point, if Mish is not going to have any regulations that says that you cannot do activities or you cannot do this, these other schools are going to have a leg or two or three up on everybody else.
Well,
and I think that's going to be an issue coming down the road.
Did you see the head of Misha said, basically, he goes, if there's a flood and the flood's in Herculaneum and they cancel school, I'm not going to tell Columbia, Missouri, they can't practice basketball that day because Peebly flooded.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, Misha hasn't really come out and said a whole lot. So, it's just uncharted waters. We're in a situation where when you ask questions, you're probably going to get, I don't know.
Yeah.
And yesterday's answers may not fit tomorrow's questions. So,
no.
it's changing every day. I even heard someone was telling me the other day of how COVID's passed, and there's, passed from person to person, and there's ways it can be and can't be, and blah, blah, blah.
And that's changed.
Yeah, my daughter wanted to go to the Crystal Pool the other day, and I'm like, ugh, no, I'm not letting you go. And she's like, chlorine, they said, look here, I have it on my phone, the great internet. And I'm like, no, you're not going swimming. So
I've heard alcohol kills it, so I've made sure to, use rubbing alcohol. And
rub it. Sure you have.
But I think that's what I think I hear from some of our parents, in our school district and then even other school districts that my kids are in as well, and so I hear that the big thing about it is I just want our kids to have a play fair. I want it to be fair across the board. And if my kid is going to Herculaneum, he should have the same exact privileges as a kid that goes to, a St. Pius or a Windsor or a Chaminade or a St. Vincent you go across the state. It's no different. It shouldn't be any different. That's why you have those obligations and those rules that are put in place. So I think that's the big thing about it is, we're all in these same thing together.
But if you live in Wayne County, you're going, dude, we've had like one
case in the entire time.
So why should we have to play by your rules? And why do I have to play by Jefferson County rules if I'm in Wayne County and we got one case?
But you also look at the same thing with
city.
Let's say having a bunch of people together is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at even Joplin is letting their kids go back and do summer school now, and we kind of talked about that off the air a little bit. But think about that. They're already doing that. To me, it kind of comes down to communities, especially in those smaller areas and in southern Missouri and southwest Missouri, where they're very community laced. What the community wants to do, they're going to do it.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if it's Christian County in Springfield. It's going to be what that community wants to do. And that's kind of what's happening in other places. And to me, and I know the county schools, while we all fight and battle each other, we all kind of have the same idea, I think, as coaches. That since I've talked to several of the guys that in our conference that are in the county, they all believe the same way, that we're ready to get back to playing.
Yeah.
And when you look at other parts of the state, we as a group, as a community, I really believe, and even like Jeff Whitener and Terry Good here have commented saying that let's open it up and play. Let the kids play. And I personally believe that. As long as we're trying to be as safe as we can with them, and the parents feel that way, they feel this is a safe place for their kids, let's let them go. That's my own opinion.
And I also believe that if we look at this whole thing, the obligations and the rules have changed since day one to now day however many it is, I don't know. But, since that point, everything has changed daily. So I think that's the big thing we're having to deal with is there is no rules and regulations that are changing or that are consistent. They're changing every day, and I think that's where I think our school districts are having an issue with it because they don't want to make a decision that's going to completely be different tomorrow. And right. I think that's where we're struggling with it, and I think that's where our kids are struggling with it because they don't understand that. They look at the big picture of it.
I hear something.
Yep, and the music playing in the background means that we got to go to break, so we're going to turn it over to Ray. And Ray, it's all yours, man.
It is, and we're going to keep this. What do you think? Comments are welcome. We're going to take a lot of questions, comments about all of these different situations. So feel free to chime in. I know that Jeff's always on, Terry Good's always on, but if you're watching right now and you've got a comment on your thoughts about it, definitely let us know, and we'll say hey to you and maybe get your question or comment in here as well. So we will be right back in just a moment. So $75 a game, you can't beat that. And our full season is about $1,000 off with the 40%. So just to give you an idea, it's mega savings. So we move into our next round of the coach's box here, and Mr. Miller, we're going to open up the lines here. Take it away, my friend.
I like how we had to have the guy who probably can't read or write out of all three of us do this, so that's good.
Love it.
I mean, it's all right, though. I mean, we'll come back to it because we've basically kind of, wanted to put it out there to get more comments for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just put a little poll vote now, either A, open the county up, or B, keep it closed for safety. I mean, I'd love to see kind of where we are as our viewership. And I'm pretty sure if I had to guess just from the 4 people who've already voted to how this is going to go. But to me, it gives it. I don't know if anybody's going to want to say keep it closed, but maybe they will. But, I mean, we'll come back to this, but let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the national level of sports because most people have a TV. If you're a sports fan, you have to have ESPN. You're streaming, you're watching, and right now, I mean, I love going and watching Peyton's Places on ESPN Plus.
Peyton's awesome.
And I think Peyton Manning. I wasn't a big Peyton Manning fan because I'm a Patriots fan. I know.
Here we go.
Oh, by the way, hey, you want to talk about that Super Bowl with the Falcons? We can do that.
Not anymore. He's not one anymore. I guarantee.
I am. I mean,
you're going to be a Tampa Bay fan now.
I mean, our conversation about Tom Brady being the GOAT can come another time.
Oh,
but
gosh.
Well, I mean, I can't argue, really. I mean,
there's a body of work there.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
He's done a couple things.
I want to see what he does in Tampa, though.
He's got more guys to throw to now.
I want to see.
This is now going to start becoming this football conversation.
Let's see if he can do like Warner and make the Super Bowl in Tampa, kind of like Warner went from the Rams to Arizona. I want to see if Tampa he can do that.
You realize Kurt Warner would have 2 Super Bowl rings if he wouldn't have threw a pick 6 at the 3. It was returned by a linebacker.
Or if Mike Martz would have given the ball to Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, we'd have 3 rings. But
all right, anyway.
I agree. I'm not going to disagree at all. Now you kind of got me a little off track of what I was even thinking about.
You bring on Brady, I start boiling.
I know. And that's why I do it, too. I just love to poke the bear.
Good. Boo the Patriots, Dave Crum. You are exactly
Dave,
right.
Whatever.
That's right. A little herky pride right there. I like it.
Trust me. I know Dave. All right. So, we're looking at the national sports scene. And as much as, like I said, as much as I love to watch those things on ESPN or that documentary about Bruce Lee, which I thought was really cool, but whatever.
Dan, boy, you're a good one.
So whenever I'm ready for sports to be back.
Agreed.
And I'm a fan of all sports.
Look around. We need it.
We need
Look
sports.
Around.
We need something else to cover to occupy our minds or to get our kids seeing something positive.
Right.
And even ourselves to lift everybody up. And we're waiting for national sports, professional sports.
Look at Moon
to
jump there when you get a
jump
second.
to jump back in and have an opportunity to entertain us. And what's you guys' thoughts about what you're seeing now on a national or professional sports from the landscape?
Off the air, we were discussing baseball, and they don't have a clue. I don't think. I mean, what are they trying to do? I mean, you watch Korea; they're playing some baseball, and I do not think MLB has a clue. You got superstars out there. Well, I'm not. Dude, come on.
Well, it's here's the thing. It's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
And it's not necessarily. I'll say this because I have a big issue and a problem with it. I think that these professionals that make this kind of money and are not willing to go out there for the people that pay for that, for their whatever their salary is, we pay for that. We pay for that by going to do these activities. And so when they don't want to do that, they're just telling us that they don't care about people coming and watching them. And that, to me, drives me absolutely crazy insane. And I got on my soapbox because I just don't understand how I go down and work myself. I go to a 4-year degree and go do college or whatever and work 12 hours a day, and these guys don't want to take $100 instead of a $10,000. Well, take what you get. These are the people that are paying you. So, I just think that that's the big thing with it. is all about the money. And you look at some of the other sports that are not necessarily worried about the money. They just want to be out there and doing it. You talk about NFL. It's gonna, the NHL's doing the right thing and setting up some kind of situation for the playoffs and doing it the right way.
Yeah, let's hope the Blues get a chance to defend,
right,
and
absolutely.
win, and they're going to win. I mean, that's what I want.
Oh yeah,
let's bring that cup back.
Right.
Let's have a parade. Social distancing, of course, but let's have a parade.
You know what? If they if they win again, there's no social distance. You saw what happened last time. Good God, man, it was
crazy.
great.
It was awesome, though.
I mean,
it was awesome being down there.
Just even watching on TV was great.
Oh, awesome.
But you look at it like what you were saying about baseball, and it's really unfortunate. And I like to play devil's advocate. I like to look at both sides of the thing. But if you worked your whole life for a craft to get paid, which the way baseball salaries are set up, I know. I'm not. And look, I trust me. I want the millionaires to go and play for nothing, for anything. I want my baseball back, okay?
Yeah.
I want to watch the Cardinals. I want to hear Dan McLaughlin. I want to see all that. But that's from their standpoint. Doesn't say it's right. They want paid for what they've worked for, especially when we're talking about service years and the way it's set up. The other part of it is their CBA is going to be up. So This is almost like preemptive negotiations for the CBA that they're trying to work out for the next round when it is actually expired. Yeah, I think it's very unfortunate that if they're doing all this and they're having those disagreements, the difference between Major League Baseball and the NBA or the NHL, they're not doing it. Those sports are not doing it in a public forum the way that baseball is.
Right.
And baseball is coming out, and they're throwing all their stuff out there in the public, trashing each other, each side the public, and it makes them look really, really, really bad.
Well, yeah, Derek Moonier even said they're clueless. Both sides are clueless on the baseball side. At least the NBA, I believe, and the hockey are really trying to work to get it out there, whether it's with fans, without fans. They're trying to say, hey, fans, we want you. I look at baseball right now, and I'm going, if they don't do something, it's going to be back. Steroids had to bring them back.
Yep.
So, like we talked off air. So, what is baseball going to do if they end up screwing this up? Are they going to be able to bring fans back?
Well, of the fans in St. Louis, yes.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, it's a look.
I was listening to something today and I listen to a lot of 101 ESPN, but what they were saying, they were interviewing somebody, and I wish I could remember who it was. They were talking about the Montreal Expos and how good they were before the strike. And then they have the strike, and now all of a sudden they lose everything. They got to get rid of these great players that they had, Pedro Martinez, Robbie Alomar, and they eventually lose their team.
Yeah.
Think about talk about the revenue that teams are losing by not playing. What does this do to the Marlins or the Rays? When I'm watching all this and listening, the only thing I'm thinking is what teams are going to fold? Mm-hmm. How is this going to are we going to relocate teams? The league could look totally different when they do come back, and then what do we have coming back because of how much money it costs to go to a game and pay $8 for a hot dog and $10 for a beer?
You can already see it with businesses. I mean, Little Caesars right here is closed permanently now.
Yeah.
And that place I thought was doing okay,
That's a travesty.
$5 for a pizza.
I know, right?
You can't beat that.
But
sorry, Emos.
We're already seeing this in businesses. So what's going to happen to sports teams like you're saying? I mean, Marlins are struggling anyway. And the Devil Rays are
wait, they're going to play games. Where are they going to play games? Tampa Bay was going to play games
in Montreal.
Was it Montreal?
Montreal,
yeah, because they're dying to have baseball back there. Yeah.
I never understood why they left, but anyway,
exactly.
The Expos.
Expo uniforms.
I think of Dawson.
Yeah.
When I think of the Expos, I think of Dawson. But
we talk about the pro sports and this generalization. I mean, you used to come home after whatever you were doing throughout the day, turn on a Cardinal baseball game or turn on a Blues hockey game, and that's what you did at night. you find yourself coming home at night tonight now, and you're like, what do I do? Like I'm gonna pop in and watch Netflix, or
I'm running out of shows to watch.
Yes,
and
agreed.
I'm asking people like, what should I watch? And then what really just steams my grits about the whole thing is
here we go.
Is when you watch a show,
that has to be a Des Arc or something thing.
Man, don't bring Des Arc into it.
I had to.
So when you're watching a show, now I have an addictive like 1-800-BETS-OFF personality on watching things. I want to go and watch every one of them from the start to finish.
Only thing, but go ahead.
We'll leave it at that. It's a family show, so I want to watch this show, so I'll go back and I'll watch every single show from start to finish. I'll get kind of invested in it, and then all of a sudden I realize after 2 seasons and 24 episodes, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's some cliffhanger and the show's over, and what? That was it? That was it? You got to be. And that's happened to me about 5 times.
Have
already.
you watched Sons of Anarchy?
Not yet.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, you're right. I'm looking for sports at the end of the day, or I'm looking for that news. I'm missing the ESPN updates I'm getting saying big news in sports. Da da da. So I mean, as a country, I'm waiting. I'm wanting it to happen. But that's me, and that's just how I feel about it.
Well, then here's the other thing that you think about. Okay, so let's just say they allow them to play, but then now we go to the next part of this: no fans in the stands. Who's the problem? Who's that helping or hurting? In that point,
It's helping Livestream STL.
Absolutely, absolutely, it is.
I ain't gonna lie.
Absolutely.
Call us now.
Put the number on the screen.
Right here it is. Boom.
But what I'm saying is, all those fans that go and are watching, the Cardinals or go to watch the Blues, and now all of a sudden can't go and watch those things. What an impact is that going to have on that franchise? And I mean, you talk about a lot of lost revenue inside of that place.
Think of all the people laid off in St. Louis that work at Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and how's that going to trickle down to us?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll just give an example. My parents come to almost every game I coach.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do? These are questions. This is why when I know the public's frustrated and why aren't schools letting us do stuff, da-da-da-da-da. Those are all, there's so many questions that school districts have to answer. That's why I think it's taking so long.
Well, I mean, and again, as we've said numerous times, even from 11 weeks ago, nobody has a great answer, and things have changed since we came up with everything. I do think that, real quick, when you look at it, like, say, loss of revenue, let's say we have social distancing next year, with fans or whenever we do come back.
How many seats between us?
Okay, so let's just say there's, 40-some-odd thousand. Let's just say 40,000 people can sit in Busch Stadium. We're gonna try to sell it out, but we can only have half capacity.
right.
How much is that hot dog going to cost now when there's only half amount of people who can buy it, or the beer, or the soda, or the waters, or the cotton can?
I'm gonna bring a big bag.
Yeah, well,
inside.
Do you really think they're going to? Well, maybe we'll just go ahead and say no bags. That way, they spend more money because we need to have that money.
The revenue.
Now, how does that change things whenever sports do come back?
Well, and I think that you start looking at all of those things all those people that are inside of there now that we had 15 different places to go get nachos at. Well, now you're only going to have 4. So all those organizations that work inside of Busch Stadium. I mean, there's tons of organizations that raise money.
Yeah, they do a lot of fundraising by working those.
And so you think
concession
about
stands.
all of those organizations that have lost thousands of dollars for their organizations. Now, are those organizations going to fail? And are they going to fold? And so you look at the big picture and you think, man, this is affecting a lot more than what we really think. But is it as frustrating as a fan? Yeah, it's absolutely as frustrating. But can you imagine being on that other side of that picture and thinking, hey, this is what my job is. Now I can't go to my job.
Right,
Can't go do what I want to do because of all of this.
We're sitting here complaining because we don't have any sports to watch. And then you look at the low people in those organizations that are struggling, I struggle from paycheck to paycheck. Heck, you guys see that I deliver pizzas all the time.
Do you really?
Yeah, just a little bit at Emos.
Where's that at?
That would be Emos and Festus.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can't give them any free advertising.
Yeah, my buddy Mark Bercelli would be happy that I'm saying that. But, it's so sports is so ingrained in our society. We got to get back, not only at local level like all of us coaches want, but we need baseball, we need hockey, we need the NBA. I want my Lakers to win a championship, dang it.
Okay, here we go. But here's a fun one, though. You mentioned about the Korean baseball.
I've watched some of it.
If you watch those guys are, I mean, it's hilarious because I'm still kind of an old school baseball guy. I don't like the DH, whatever. But by God, I'll tell you what they could do. I like it. It is entertaining. It's fun. But and I haven't watched in a while. But are they putting stuffed animals or something in the stands to fill it? Have you seen that?
I've seen that a couple times.
It kind of looked like it,
Yeah.
didn't it? I mean, from a standpoint, I don't know if it
blow
was
up dolls and things like that.
Well,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
there's a funny
They
story
did.
about the blow-up dolls
Yeah.
and what kind they end up
Yes.
getting, that they had to make an apology. But, I mean, to me, it's if we're seeing that from Korea,
right.
well, you know, I'm over here going, well, why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Why, what's wrong with that? Let's get some baseball back. What I do think is kind of cool, though, and we can probably touch on it a little bit after the break, is what the NBA and the NHL have talked about doing with hub cities, or the NBA is playing in Disney World, which is, in my mind, just kind of like mind-boggling. But,
Right.
Again, they're trying to do things to get back where other sports maybe are not.
Well, and you also got to look at, okay, so you got NFL, you got the NBA. I mean, they're all in the kind of the same realm of things, but all of them are doing something different. They're not being consistent across with it. You know, you talk about those hub cities and playing in the hub city. I mean, is that legit? I think that's a good point. You don't want people to travel, so you don't want to kind of keep them localized as much as you possibly can. And I think you also got to take into consideration that that's a less cost. So, also more money involved in all of it.
How hard is that going to be to control? I mean, come on.
You shouldn't.
You're going to
Which part?
Oh, well, I'm talking about.
Go ahead. Why don't you just go ahead and explain this a
Okay,
little
I
bit?
will explain. I mean, have you guys ever read about Wilt Chamberlain? I mean, I'm just saying,
I heard a couple stories.
How are they going to control that? I mean, that
You can only bring so many people. So you have to get one ticket for your wife, and then you can't bring your side friend with you. So I mean, that's yeah.
Well,
You have a side friend?
I'm just saying that's what they're talking about.
That's where he was going with this, Blair. But
I thought you were talking about Wilt Chamberlain. I think that's exactly what we were talking about.
I knew that he had a lot of visitors. So that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Come to say hi.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know how that's going to look. I mean, and I think that's why we're still waiting. We're like, come on, NBA, hockey, we got to get somebody to just step out there and do it, and then all the dominoes will fall.
I think you're exactly right. I think we're all waiting for one of those national sports, and on a little bit of level, wonder if some
winning
of the
state this year. You see
by the
this
way,
out here.
They're throwing
By the
some
way,
major things
wow,
out here.
There's been a bunch of stuff going across.
Yeah,
here.
if you're not being a part of our comments on our show,
Save
then you
that
are
for part
missing
3.
out.
Save that for part 3.
But anyway, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Ray here and get to a break because we can have a lot of fun with this.
Oh, this is having too much
We
fun.
got to save that for part 3, and we will
Thanks,
be
Maddie.
right back.
Thanks, Maddie Deering. This Livestream STL has been a huge asset for Jefferson County sports, in my opinion. I mean, getting these athletes the camaraderie that they're out there and people can see them. I mean, to be honest with you, I got a call from a coach yesterday about one of my athletes that said that they saw some of her games on Livestream STL.
Awesome.
So, I mean, that right there instilled to me that this is important. This is important for those kids. And so, I think it's great, and I wish you guys the best. And if you're out there and you want to sponsor, this is a great opportunity for kids to support kids of our local kids and get them support and get them acknowledgement out there, because we have a lot of great athletes in this county.
Well, we appreciate that. And at the end of the day, our mission is much the same as your missions, coaches, to help shine a light on these kids. And get them exposure and get their name out there and help them. And if they can advance, they're better off, we're better off as a community, and that's why we're here.
That, Ray, and I'll say real quick, I really admire what you guys do with this. I think everybody who's ever tuned into one of these, whether it's a Legion game, whether it's a high school baseball game, with basketball, football, whatever it is, I've heard nothing but tremendous feedback about Livestream STL and what you guys do and the quality of production, things like that. I would really encourage anybody who's involved in athletics throughout the county, really anywhere in the metro area, anybody who's interested in sponsoring activities to get on board and get involved with this. I think it's added a ton to what we do here. It's added a ton to the program. You guys are a class act. You're committed to doing things the right way, and we really appreciate that.
We are back here. Thanks for watching the Coach's Box here. We begin, well, I better not not pay the bills here real quick first, so we're going to make sure we get that set up first here. I want to thank so much Justin Neal over at USA Mortgage. He's going to be one of our main sponsors for baseball this season. Give him a call over at 314-287-4572. You can catch him also at festus.usa-mortgage.com, located at 115 West Gannon Drive in Festus. Justin Neal over at USA Mortgage, the home of possibility. Also want to thank La Pachanga Restaurant for us being able to be here, 1185 Scenic Drive in Herculaneum. Give them a call at 636-475-4888, or you can check them out on the web at lapachangamex.com. And finally, again, we want to tell you we have some broadcast advertising opportunities here for us here at Livestream STL for our Jeffco Diamond Cast on Livestream STL. You can give us a call, 314-852-4398, or livestreamstl@outlook.com if you're interested. And I believe that's all I have. Don't forget, also, we will have the Main Street Sports. This is going to be a special time this Thursday. We'll have that at 12 noon right here, same place. Zach Bone, Coach Zach Bone from Festus 253, formerly 253. It's going to be the Festus Baseball Diamond Club. Also, Aaron Kudelek from the JC Blazers up in Arnold. And finally, via video chat, we're going to have Danny Sigmund from Rock Memorial. So we're going to talk a little baseball for Main Street Sports. And don't forget us over here at the Coach's Box. We're going to have a new time. Have we decided we're going to move this to Monday starting?
I think so.
I think so. We're going to start from the rest of this month. It'll be Mondays, and that will be same time, 7 o'clock right here at La Pachanga.
It'd be like Monday Night Football.
It's kind of like Monday Night Football. How about that?
We can do that.
Absolutely. So, Chris Miller, we start segment 3 here. And it looks like we're going to go over our usual hour time, but that's okay.
No, that's okay. I'm sure we can find some stuff to talk about.
What is time anyway, right?
That's right.
We've had a lot of it here lately to do stuff.
No open gym tonight.
No open gym tonight?
We're good.
We're good. Nothing going on.
Nope.
You got any projects to do at the house?
Oh,
that's a different story.
I've been working overtime on that.
I better not say that too loud. Tara Lynn probably hear you. All right, so kind of going back to what we were talking about with what the NBA and the NHL are doing, because I think it's neat that we dive into it, at least see if we can get some of our people watching and listening to kind of chime in too about what the NBA and the NHL are doing as far as hub cities and playing in one location. And what do you think that's going to be like having, let's just start with the NBA, and aside from all the issues that we kind of hit on a little bit,
I hear there's thousands of issues.
like 10,000 of them or so.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to be like to have those games there at Disney World?
Well, I think it's an awesome thing to have everybody together for the overall portion of it, but for the fans, I don't know that I think it's a big thing. I think it's
how many card games are going to be going on? I mean, we saw Jordan. We saw all the stuff they were doing. So now if you're going to put all the NBA teams there, is the King LeBron going to have his court out there doing, they're going to play cards. I mean,
It's true.
LeBron's your guy, man. You're a Lakers guy now.
LeBron was never my guy, but now he's a Laker, so it's like I have to.
Oh, no.
Dude, I've been a Laker fan since
You don't have to do nothing but pay taxes and die.
That's
all
true.
right?
I mean, you don't have to be a Laker fan.
It took me a while to pay my property taxes this year, but anyway.
Penalty that comes with that.
Yeah, well, they go to Festus School District, so I wasn't quick on paying. But anyway,
And on that,
And we're wrapping up.
wait, why the lights go on? Anyway, so when we're talking about that, though, is as far as from a fan standpoint, getting behind that kind of atmosphere and just watching it on TV. And I mean, let's think about this: you're playing the games. And we've been at games where the stands are packed with people, and you can't hear anything, and the crowd and the student sections are getting into it. And we know that's the same with college and professional sports. How's this going to look like with nobody in the stands, and you hear all the court chatter, the coaches talk?
I want to hear the timeouts.
I would love to hear the mic down.
I want to see, I want
Can
to
you see us with a microphone right there, right for your timeouts?
not for my timeouts. I was talking about like NBA timeouts.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about like
Let's not get on to
Coach
our
Blair
stuff.
and his backup timeout call, and
Wow.
Might have a little bit of that.
He's dogging you, man.
I mean, I don't think, Ray, I really don't think without it, you can't do a live broadcast and probably do my timeouts. I'm just going to tell you right now. There's got to be a dump button.
We don't have a dump button. Sorry,
No,
it doesn't
because
work.
I'll tell you right now, my assistants have really got to watch their language. And as I'm trying to talk, and there's all this profanity going on. But I would love to see a mic, hear the mic'd up, even the conversations on the court, because those guys are got to be talking a lot of smack.
Oh, I
a lot of
guarantee
smack.
it.
But
Guarantee it.
then that is all covered up by crowd and all in the music and things that they're playing. All that, nothing.
Well, see, I would like to see it where all the teams are in the same building, so the other teams are the teams in the stands. And you can imagine other players talking smack on the guys on the floor. I mean, you talk about that could be pretty fun to watch. I mean, that would be a fun thing to watch. I think fans would get a kick out of that because of all the yelling and screaming at each other.
Can you imagine, though? I mean, because I know those guys aren't using the greatest language in the world. I mean, Gary Payton probably was not, saying a bunch of clean stuff out there on the court. The glove was a talker.
No.
And so, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I just want sports.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree. We can just say we want sports. With what hockey's trying to do and playing in these different hub cities. And by the way, and I'm not sure if this is 100% true. Are they still thinking of Chicago as a hub city?
I think that's been eliminated now.
Yes,
Thank God.
Well,
okay,
that can't.
How in the world could it be?
Well, that's a story for anyway. But for St. Louis to not have that, have the opportunity to be a hub city with the atmosphere that our fans can bring and different things.
Well, Crump brings up the XFL, and there was some stuff, but they didn't get to bleep some stuff on a couple of those.
Yeah, the
too.
XFL and bringing the. But think about that too. Now think about what hockey was going to look like if you could mic up.
Oh man!
I mean, I would love to listen to the Chief talk. I would want to bottle that up and just listen to it because that speech he gave for Game 7.
Right.
I mean, that just gives me chills even thinking about it. Being a big Blues fan, but think about it, that kind of thing. Even when we go back to the match, the golf match, when Phil Mickelson's mic'd up, and hearing him even just discuss. And I'm not a huge golf player, and you guys know that personally from watching me. And sorry, Ray, if you want me to play.
I'm joining that Friday afternoon. We got Chris Miller, Ray, and myself. We're gonna go be golfing out at the.
Maybe we should go live there and see
I'm bringing
that
my
travesty.
Happy Gilmore golf clubs.
I got actually wooden golf clubs. That's how terrible
Nice.
I am. I only play like once a year.
No, that's how old you are.
They would give it to me.
Well, I'll give a shout out to Brian Waits on his tournaments this Friday, so it'll be a fun one.
Special Olympics.
Yeah, all the proceeds go to Special Olympics.
Good
and
cause.
He's a full house of 36 teams.
Oh, wow.
First time he's ever had 36. He's usually cuts it off at 32. So
We're having social distancing, right?
it'll be a lot of fun Friday afternoon.
Yeah. So when you think about it, and I'll go back to what I was saying, but with Phil Mickelson discussing how he was going to line up and shoot that shot, and I haven't watched golf in 20 years on TV. I watched it and I'm like, man, I really enjoy that. I mean, just the whole breakdown, and then the commentary from Charles Barkley, and just listening to those guys.
And Tiger Woods talking, and just all that stuff. That was awesome.
I mean, I really think that there's an opportunity for some of our sports to change for the positive, on a professional level, even golf, to where it's more enjoyable to bring more fans in. And golf's not exactly a sport. I know the galleries and things, which they all depend on the same, but just even your viewership, what you can do differently now to bring people in. And Dave's right. The XFL, even with sometimes they miss the dump button, I'm telling you right now, that was enjoyable. Watch an XFL game, and it's not the best brand of football, but it's enjoyable to watch.
I love to watch it, though, man. Yeah. And they interview a guy right after he does something, right on the sideline.
Right
and
or wrong.
Some of those guys are like, ooh. I do see it always comes back to your forehead somehow, some way.
Simple.
Thank you, Matt Schutte, there for the forehead comment.
Well,
Can't get him to wear a hat.
Nope.
You know what? I tell you what, I had to take care of my buddy Matt. He couldn't be here tonight. He's on assignment, so just had to take care of his bald head out there and shining bright. So
just shining bright.
Just letting him know I'm here.
You're shining all right. I don't know about bright, but you're shining.
He's shining.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, from that standpoint and everything there, what those sports can do to really take off, we're kind of looking at baseball going, what are you guys doing? And I know we had a couple comments earlier about they're using this season to pine for the CBA, and what's that going to look like? I don't know if the sport can survive. I don't know if they can have another Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa thing to bring them back.
Right.
Because they almost killed it.
Oh, yeah, I agree. 100% agree. And I think that's where you're going to see, I think a lot of these professional sports turn the corner one way or the other. I mean, it's just going to fall off straightforward, or you're going to make,
They're already, you're already seeing the NBA and the NFL like soaring before this, and even the NHL compared to baseball. Mm-hmm. And I'm not dogging baseball here. I love baseball. I love the Cardinals. I used to go to opening day every year, but things are going where it seems it's trending football, basketball right now, and even hockey.
Yeah.
And we're even in St. Louis, and the stands were not. We made the playoffs last year, and the stands still weren't as full as you're used to in St. Louis.
And that's unfortunate, too, because this is, in my opinion, it's baseball heaven.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
It is.
Yeah. And, also, we'll go off a tangent of a little bit of that. But, even the college basketball, they're talking about, they just released this week that Division I and II schools can't be on the recruiting trail the entire month of July. So you take about that, that takes a lot of that pro and college basketball and just throws it out the window. I mean, those guys can't be out recruiting and watching games and being a participant in games. I mean, that just changes a lot of stuff. Like all those guys that live in the gym in the summer watching athletes play, I mean, they're not there.
Well, I know a lot of sports had to get rid of their scouts.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do? You have nothing to scout. You have nothing to do, and they didn't want to pay them. So, it's a tough situation when you're looking at it from the top all the way down, and the trickle-down effect, as you guys had said before, of what's actually happening to sports because of this.
Right.
And I know a lot – there might even be decisions, I don't know, that these high schools and colleges are looking at from professional sports. And we're all waiting for professional sports to say, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to jump back in and lead the way, and we haven't had that. And I think it's very unfortunate with the opportunity that any one of the major sports could have to really say, we're going to do it, and we're going to do what's best for this country. That's just – I'll get off my soapbox a little bit.
Well, it's like I said earlier. If you've been watching the news or anything, we need sports. We need something positive, and I think sports can bring
Is there anything going on?
Just a couple things.
I've been binge watching shows on
Hulu. I've actually been trying not to watch the
I haven't
TV.
watched the news since this all went down. Not one time. And I'm a normal 10 o'clock p.m. guy that I used to watch
channel?
the news.
What channel?
Yeah, what
Fox
channel?
2. I used to watch
Fox 2. I'm a 5, Channel 5.
Every night I'd probably turn on Fox 2 News and I'd watch the news. What I'd do. I haven't watched the news.
Mike Bush, man. I watched Channel 5.
All. And I that goes because of all the negativity. There is nothing positive on the media side of it right now. It's scary to think about when you go watch the news. You don't see anything positive. You don't hear anything positive about what's going on in America.
You mean politics in America aren't positive right now?
Oh, buddy. Well, don't get me
I mean,
started
we can
on
really
politics
jump
and
into a different segment here and really go into
on next week's show.
I mean, it is unfortunate because, again, in my experience, sports is always a distraction and something to get away from what you're dealing with, because there's a lot of people dealing with a lot of stuff, not just adults, but kids too.
Oh yeah.
And you bring that up. Think about the kid that you know. The only reason why he comes to school is sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that is the only reason. I could name, several kids that I've had in my past, and I've been doing this a while, 19 years. But
God, you're old.
I know, and that they only came to school for that sport, and they ended up doing something afterwards because they got their education.
Yes.
And so schools are going to have to get it figured out. The NBA, the NFL, all these people are going to have to get it figured out.
It shows how much sports means to this country and the people of this country, whether it's on a national level, whether it's on a collegiate level, whether it's on a local level, how much sports mean, and not just because it's an entertainment thing, because it drives us on so many different levels. And I understand 100% what you're talking about, because I've used that carrot to dangle to a kid to say, listen, you want to play basketball, you got to get your grades. You got to do this. You got to act right. And now we don't have that. So now that kid
sports
loses
kept
out.
me in line a lot. I mean,
I have a hard time believing that.
I mean, you can't play sports for getting in trouble at school. I mean, you can't play sports if you're skipping school. You can't play sports if you're always in ISS or out of school.
Good
so,
God,
I mean,
man. What happened?
I'm not saying I'll give an example.
Real quick.
All of your experiences. You
really
can't play if you're not.
Yeah. I got suspended once. I mean, it was a fight, whatever. But
Did you win?
no. I got popped.
You heard it here.
No, I got popped really good.
So you're 0 for 1?
It was a first punch, bam.
Oh, it was
But
2 hits.
It was not good.
Two
no,
hits.
I did not hit the ground.
No.
I punched back. It just wasn't very good for me. But, and that's how our society, I mean, it's crazy to think of how important sports is. I mean, everywhere you go, everything, Pepsi, Coke, whatever anything, McDonald's. Think about, man, when the Dream Team was about. You had the cups.
Yeah.
I think my mom and dad still have them.
Oh yeah.
And the cups
right.
from that team. I mean, ugh.
Well, I like the idea because growing up, I mean, in the summertime, I get up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
I'd get on my bike and I'd go do something. I'd
Right.
be at the park.
Right.
I'd be playing. I'd be doing something. And then when it come to nighttime, you'd have a baseball game I'd have to play in, or but that wouldn't stop me. I would still go all hours of the day and night doing something. And now you've taken that away from that younger generation that we wonder why our kids are in front of these things for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Well, I'm in front of this thing right now, and Lindsey Jones, Coach Ken Jones' wife, just posted on there, sports are still keeping Coach Jarvis in line.
I would probably agree with that.
Thanks, Ken Jones. Well, we coached 9 years together. He knows probably what he's talking about.
Here's a fun one to throw out there from a coaching standpoint. I'm sure you guys have dealt with this in your experiences as a head coach. My favorite thing a parent has told me about summer with their kids is the summertime is for my kid to just be a kid and not have to worry about sports. Okay, and I don't know if you've ever had that or along those lines.
I've heard it.
About we're going on vacation. And there is nothing wrong with that. Okay, I want to be prefaced when I say this, but I wonder now how that's going to change a little bit when you haven't had the opportunity to even do those things.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about the 35 days of madness, it's going to be July and August before school starts. Are we going to have that kind of conversation from a parent or somebody?
It's so awesome that you bring that up. I always tell my kids a story at school when they're always complaining about summer workouts. My family went on vacation one year. I think it was my freshman year. I was going to be a freshman, and we had football camp the same week. My mom and dad had planned that vacation, and I told mom and dad I wasn't going, and that I went and stayed with my grandmother, and she took me to football camp every day that week while my 2 brothers and my mom and dad went on vacation. And I can still remember that.
Right.
And because I knew if I wasn't there, Coach Holman, what do you mean you're not going to be here, Mr. Jarvis? So I went, and it's going to be funny. We encouraged the Herky this year for all the parents to do their vacations that week of August. That's a dead week before those fall sports start. And then we encouraged the 4th of July. And I believe we're still going to give them that 4th of July, even with the dead weeks coming up. I don't know for sure. I mean, there's a lot of meetings that are going on and stuff. But we try to plan our vacation. My parents always planned our vacation the first week of August when I was a kid because all three of us played sports.
Well, it's funny, because sports were such an important thing in my family that I would have to say I've probably been to maybe 3 of my family Christmases on my mom's side because it was always a basketball tournament.
Right.
So we're going to play the Park Hills Christmas tournament. Yeah, I'm not going to be a family Christmas. So I probably missed out on some gifts or seeing time with relatives, but it meant a lot to me.
So you must have won some games there. I mean, I'm usually done before.
Well, there's a picture of me holding that trophy, that big gold ball.
Okay.
Now, South Irons won some of those. Anyway, you beat South Iron once, too, down there, didn't you?
The only victory I've ever had down at the Christmas tournament was my first year, and that was South Iron. They were the 8th seed, and we were the 16 seed.
Yeah, 16 over 8. See?
Yeah,
but
that was fun. We got to play a little longer that year. We played 3 games instead of 1.
Yeah, we usually played about 3 or 4 games, during that tournament.
Growing up, you talk about vacations. We took one vacation as a family growing up, and that was because one of my family members were getting married in Colorado, and we were a part of the wedding. So that was the only reason why we ever went on a vacation was to go to be a part of a wedding. So, but the other side of that was, we were vacationing together on a baseball field together as a family, or in a gym playing basketball. That's what we vacationed to do because that's what we wanted to do, and so that's kind of where we got together and just was one big family. You know what I mean? I mean, Grandma and Grandpa was there, aunts and uncles were always there. I mean, we were just there all together. So I think that kind of has changed a little bit over time where everybody thinks they got to go on a vacation out of town, go somewhere every summer. I mean, you can have just as much fun on a Friday night at the football, together, hanging out and enjoying watching your family, your friends play, and it's just as enjoyable,
We
or the baseball field.
Dylan always played on the Black Cats team with Delane Black and Lane Black, and their whole family is baseball, and we got to go to Pigeon Forge for the Cal Ripken experiences. It was one of the best. It's the best. Probably one of the best family vacations I've ever had with my 2 kids.
Right.
And we went down a little early, and we were there for baseball, but we just made it a family thing. Right. And I'm into sports. My daughter's into sports. My son's into sports. My dad was. I had 2 older brothers, so sports is just something that we've always done. And if we can incorporate it into a vacation, let's do it.
And that's it. That's exactly what happens. And when you get those. Well, I think when I grew up, there wasn't as much of that select travel ball as there was.
Oh, it was Little League.
It was Little League.
Oh, God,
so we never really traveled more than maybe an hour or 2 out of the way. You didn't travel across this country to play in a baseball tournament or do any of that stuff. So I think that has changed the culture of traveling. When you say could travel, you get these AAU basketball teams that go to Atlanta, Georgia and play in the Nike Nationals, or go to Dallas, Texas and play in, Reebok's tournament, so it just, they're all across the country.
A lot of that stuff's canceled this year, though.
Yeah, I think they said they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like the coaches clinic.
Yeah, I know.
Bummer.
Oh, I know. I was going to actually go to one.
But, when you look at –
I did some learning today, though.
Did you? Yeah, you read that book.
Yeah, I was reading
that
book.
I saw that. It was good. So when it's going to be funny because as I've told any of the kids who I've talked to, it's important that you take advantage of this time to really put in the work, especially if you're going to be a junior now, coming to be a senior, because you don't know what tomorrow looks like. You're expecting to play baseball season or have a track or a spring sport, and you didn't get a chance to. Or be that team that made the Final Four in Class 4 and 5, and you don't even get to play.
Yeah.
And as crazy as that sounds, I don't even know what that's going to look like when you talk about who won the state championship last year in Class 4 and 5. Those kids miss that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, my goal this year is to really preach. It's take every single day of practice, every single day that you get a chance to pick up a ball, and every game you play, make it like it is your last, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and like we've said about all this, no one knows. We could go start fall sports, and then October or November have that spike they keep talking about, and bam, no
gone away.
basketball season or something.
And we're right back to
and
that
we're
same
back
thing.
and so like I've been telling my son Dylan, I'm like, dude, you better take it. You missed your freshman year of baseball. I mean, you could miss something this coming year. You better get your butt working so that when it does come, you're ready to go. And you're not going to miss that opportunity.
The one thing that I try to stress to young people I've coached is you don't want to look back and be that guy who has a bunch of regrets and say, man, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. I wish I had done this. Because those people aren't very successful. Whatever they were talking, they probably weren't very good. They weren't as good as they should have been. And so those people aren't the successful ones that have all these regrets. Don't be the guy who has regrets, because you're going to end up living vicariously through your kids. Yes. You're going to be miserable. You're not going to love the sport that you should have loved in the first place, or you'll realize it later on down the road.
There's people that live through their kids'
No,
sports
it doesn't
and
happen at
stuff?
all.
Oh, I didn't know
Don't they
that.
yell at Herky games?
What?
Oh, wait a minute. I before you got to Pius, there was a little interesting interaction at our tournament between some things going on in the stands. I mean, it's not just Herky fans.
I think it's everywhere.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm trying to point out here. It's not just Herky fans.
It's everywhere. And trust me,
There's fans everywhere.
I grew up in that kind of household too. Right. So let's be real. I understand.
Well, you were talking about your parents getting kicked out of a game on a couple episodes. That's all right. My brother tends to do that. So
if you're just tuning in this week, definitely go back and watch last week's episode if you want to know how my parents got kicked out of a game that I was coaching.
It is very funny.
I have no problem telling those stories at all.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to talk before we go out of here, I'm sure. But the one thing that, we're seeing a lot of comments and questions on is, everybody wants to know, well, why can't we at least do some kind of training with the athletes? If we're not going to allow them to participate in a game-like situation, why are we not allowing kids to participate in some kind of training? Because I think that's the big question, that we maybe be failing these kids by not being able to allow them to train. We can tell them all day long, give them activities to do all day long, but until you're there to hold them accountable, sometimes the kids today, there's just so many avenues they can go down. And so if I'm saying from my standpoint, I'm challenging somebody, hey, let the kids be able to train. If more importantly than anything else, let them work on their skills and development to be able to train to be better athletes. And if they're better athletes, they're going to be better people. And I just firmly believe that great athletes are great people. And when you come down to that point, I 100% agree with that, and I'll say it on Livestream STL 150,000 times. It doesn't matter to me.
Proclamation.
I was just going to bring up some names. I was thinking of Bill Lembeer, Rodman. Not all of them are great people, but I get what you're saying. They're driven people, that's for sure.
But there's a challenge there, and I think that the kids today need that. And so, if you're out there and you're an administrator and you're listening, hey, listen to Coach Blair. I don't care if you listen to anything I have to say, but let the kids have an opportunity to train. I love what I do, but more importantly, I want to see kids have success down the road 20 years from now. And I wanted them to remember this opportunity they had, but more importantly, just get them an opportunity to train.
Well, I know that looking at that brief poll before, the conversation got a little sidetracked on our comments
that
section.
Happens
That's okay.
Bit.
I like it anyway. Everybody that seemed like the majority, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize if I didn't. Everybody kind of picked A, that they want the kids to play, and I personally want them to play too, and I agree with what you're saying. And again, there's no rule against any of these kids being trained. I want to make that 100% clear based on the guidelines that were given in the county. There's no rule against that. So I hope all the administrators hear it. I really do, and I 100% agree. They can come talk to me or call me. They probably got my phone number anyway. Figure it out.
You've been on some interviews before.
I've done a couple interviews before.
Okay,
yeah.
I've been on a few.
I didn't get a lot of jobs.
I've been on a few. I've gotten turned down too.
Yeah, it happens.
It's okay.
It's like, hey, you're just not very good. That's what they tell them. But anyway, Ray, we're going to turn it back over to you before we start making fun of me.
Well, I was going to ask, are we done answering all our questions? Because there were quite a few questions.
Oh, my gosh. We had like 60
So
some
I
odd
know
comments here.
one of the questions here was, do we start football July 1st?
That'd be a football question for someone who might
Coach Jarvis,
football.
maybe?
Well,
That to be determined?
July 1st is yet to be determined. I know that the ADs, I believe, in Jefferson County met today. Yeah. So that's a question above my pay grade.
Is there any ADs out here watching tonight that can give us some kind of answer, maybe a possibility,
No, they don't watch our show.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, do they? Wow, it
You'd
must be in
surprised.
secret then. They don't ever tell me about it.
Incognito.
Oh, the fake fakes, but catfishing.
We've encrypted their undercoverness there, so we know they're watching. So, Dave Crump had something he wanted to ask too, but I lost it there, and I got to pull it up.
Oh,
here.
it says who's in line for the Hillsboro head
Yes.
football job.
We don't know.
Open just today.
Just open today. Yeah,
so.
it was announced today that
I don't
Lee
think I'm
Freeman
going to throw any. I'm
has
not
resigned.
going to throw any of my ideas out there, but
Oh, you got some breaking news? Got a hot take?
no, I don't have a hot take on it.
All right.
I have no hot take I'm throwing out there on that.
I didn't know it was open.
Well, I just found out because of Livestream. They put it out there today, and
We have.
I got some idea of some coaches that I know.
Ray, you
that-
must have your fingers on the pulse of the county because you and Jeff are breaking news.
I'm going to
left
have to
and
say
right.
it might be the latter more than the former. It very rarely comes to me, but here's a good push right here, and here's a great. If you're an AD or any type of administration, and you want to break that news, definitely tweet it to us, email it to us, text it to us, either Jeff or myself. We would love to help promote that for you guys. That way everybody's informed. So there's our shameless plug.
Perfect. Fair enough.
Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, we are talking. Shooty did say something about not balding hair from Coach Blair, but just faded.
Faded. He said faded.
Yeah, and
that's pretty
Dave
cool,
Crump says "Boo Patriots," which I really like.
I was a big fan of that one too.
You know,
Okay.
so
Well,
there you
he's
go.
Hey, you guys got time. Jesus saves.
Well, I mean, Crump's a Chiefs fan, die
I
hard.
know he
think,
is.
So
I know he is. But hey, you know what?
that's
So
great.
is everybody now. Everybody's a Chiefs fan now.
There's
Well,
us.
we have to be. The Rams left us.
Well, I mean, but then
Thank you,
Yep.
Stan Kroenke, jerk. But
we can bring up Stan Kroenke next time.
Oh,
That'd be a
I don't
fun
know if
one.
we want to do that. I used to work for the Rams, so
Ooh.
way back before Livestream STL days. But man,
big
worked
time.
For the,
It's a raise.
Big time raise.
I worked for the NFL. I didn't work for the Rams. Let's
We
just
could
put it that way,
definitely. We need to come up with some stuff like, what do we think Ray's done? And just have ideas. And
I am that
like,
jack
pin
of all
the tail of
trades,
the
master of
donkey a
none.
little bit here.
Let
No
us
doubt.
ask Mr. Livestream some questions.
Oh,
that
that
would
could
be
be
a good one.
I just think there'd be a lot of cussing if Stan Kroenke if he's a subject.
He was
on
never
here.
there. He was never there.
That doesn't surprise me.
that's
That's why he
tells you
knew
a
so
lot.
much about the
That
team
tells
and
you a
everything
lot.
else.
He was never there.
Well,
He was
he
next
knew-
to our booth, and he was never there.
He knew he was.
And when he
going
was there,
back.
he was never there.
He knew he
So
was
there.
going back the whole
That's
time.
what you know.
I think a good one would be if we ask Ray questions about things he's heard us say or things like that. That could be a
Only
good one.
on air stuff. Only on air stuff. That's what I'm saying here.
Well,
we
no.
talking about off air stuff, man.
Nobody'd watch that. That'd be too boring.
We'll be taking your questions next week on that.
What's the funniest thing? We had a good show was ask people to ask questions. What's the funniest thing they've seen Coach Miller say on the sidelines?
Oh,
Coach
dear
Jarvis say on the
God.
sidelines, and Coach Blair say on the sidelines.
Where's
could be a fun
where's
show.
Boyer at? Because I'm sure he's got some. I know you guys have got some.
Oh, Boyer's definitely going to chime in on that
he
one.
probably will before the show's over with that one.
I'm sure I got a couple.
Save it, Dan. Don't jump in there just yet.
Wait till
Save it.
next week,
Save
maybe.
it.
Oh, boy.
Possibility of a future show.
Yep.
Well, that's another thing these people need to to put out there, hey, what do you want us to talk about?
Yeah, if you guys have any ideas for us for a show or topics that are within reason and not, inappropriate, we have no problem talking
like
about
why
it.
there are blow-up dolls in the cave.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about why there are blow-up dolls in the KBO. I mean, somebody obviously lost their job from that one.
Sure,
Nothing to do with
that.
but yeah, you can chime in, shoot us a message, or I get messages all the time about different things that we can be talking about, because we want this to be entertaining for you guys. We always have a good time before we do the show, during the show, after the show, because we like to talk about different stuff and get us all together, and we tend to, have a pretty good time with it. We want to share that with you guys, so just if you feel like you want us to talk about anything or have a really good point, send it to us. Send it to Ray. Live stream. We'll try to incorporate it.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm looking at some of the people on here right now. I see Liz Longelier on here.
Hey, don't start fronting out our viewers.
I know. I was saying I see some viewers on here that might have some interesting questions.
Oh, I was about to say.
We reserve the right to veto. So that's what
we will screen the questions. Before
we need to screen them.
That's why we don't have call-ins right now.
Yeah, I see.
But we do have live in-house opportunity for them to come here live in-house and ask us a question.
Yeah, I mean, you can come here and jeer us and stuff, and we can't hear you.
And you got to order the Brothers Pizza if you come in. I mean, I saw several comments on that. Someone asked what we ate. I didn't eat the Brothers Pizza tonight, but that's usually my go-to.
You and I had the chicken quesadilla.
Yeah, it was good.
It was very good.
All you got to do is come in and say you want the Blair special. Done.
That's right.
They will know
exactly what that is.
They will know what that is.
That's true, because he's here all the time. You'll be here Thursday, won't you?
I will be.
I told you.
Along with that nice clear.
Are you going to be here Thursday at noon?
I don't know if it'll be at noon. Maybe in the evening.
I'm going to be here Thursday.